I want to show you just how dire things are getting in Florida. Yeah, Florida real estate right now, big, big problems. And let me show you, this is Broward County, all right? This is just Broward County. There are almost 18,000 homes for sale in Broward County. Yeah, take a look at this. Look at the sea of red. Now that's Deerfield Beach to Hollywood. That's a very, very small area. And there's over 18,000 homes for sale. And they're just sitting there. There's no buyers. There's no real movement. And every day I look at the number of homes for sale, it keeps going higher and higher and higher. Yeah, this is looking really, really bad for Florida. This is looking 2008 bad for Florida. Like and follow. We're going to be talking about this the rest of the year. Florida real estate, big, big trouble.
Florida is collapsing. Empty apartments everywhere. Prices dropping. Still no takers. Legal citizens arrested and erased from records. Insurance companies fleeing the state. Families starving while billions sit unused. The people who voted for this, they're shocked. They wanted less government, fewer outsiders. The good old days back. They got it. And now the house is falling. Welcome to Mind Mirror, when promises meet reality.
What's going on in Florida right now? I'll tell you what's going on in Florida right now. Rent prices are dropping all over the place. My buddy down there has 4 places for rent and he's had to drop the rent twice and still no takers. And let me give you an example of just how bad it is. I'm going to show you Sarasota, Florida. And I want you to show you all the places for rent are in purple. Check this out. How crazy is that? Look at that. Thousands and thousands of places for rent. And is that going to get any better anytime soon? No. All over Florida, whether you're talking about Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Naples, Sarasota, Jacksonville, thousands and thousands and thousands of places for rent. The prices are dropping and dropping.
Thousands of vacant rentals. Prices dropped twice. Still no takers. That's not a bad market. That's collapse. Florida built everything on cheap labor. Construction, hospitality, property management. All of it. Then came mass deportations. No workers. Projects stalled. The machine broke. Now, developers can't finish buildings. Landlords can't maintain properties. The whole thing's crumbling. And here's the cascade. Crashed rental market means dropped property values, lower property taxes, less money for schools and roads. Your buddy's 4 vacant properties? That's policy, not luck. They removed the foundation. Economics doesn't care about feelings. It just adds and subtracts.
Hi, yeah, we are Florida Republicans who are in the midst of deep regret over our votes for Trump. After that press conference yesterday and everything he was saying about the airlines and the plane crash, I mean, good God. I mean, we looked it up, and the pilots and everyone involved, they weren't DEI hires. What was he even talking about? We now feel like we were tricked by the Republicans. A lot of the stuff they said that got us to vote for them ended up not being true at all. None of these executive orders seem to be helping the economy or our family at all, and I don't understand why he's not doing what he said he was going to do. I understand all politicians are going to fib a little bit on the campaign trail, but this takes that to a whole new level. It's starting to seem to me like nothing that he said was true at all.
I respect these people. Admitting you were wrong on camera takes guts. Most people double down. They dig deeper rather than face the truth. But here's the thing, the patterns were visible. The track record was there. So here's your lesson. When politicians promise everything with no clear plan, that's a red flag. Don't just listen to what they say. Look at what they've done. Ask how. How will this help your family? Where's the money from? Who pays? If they can't explain it clearly, they're selling nothing. These voters are doing it right now, identifying the problem, correcting course. That's democracy working. Just remember this feeling next time someone promises the moon.
I think the best thing that would happen is if the Democrats could win all these special elections coming up and take back the House.
undocumented immigrants are here illegally. Who cares? Undocumented illegal immigrants didn't raise the cost of living in Florida 30% last year. That was the politicians. Illegal immigrants are stealing jobs. No, they're not. Illegal immigrants, if they were really stealing all of the jobs, now that illegal immigrants are being detained and hiding from ICE and detention centers or across the country, and all of these jobs have become vacant in Florida, then you would actually see a whole bunch of Americans out there working, but they're gone. And the only reason why these illegal immigrants are undocumented, taking as long to get their paperwork as possible, is because politicians have made it so difficult to become U.S. citizens because they want to keep undocumented illegal immigrants out working for cheaper rates, because they want to keep the people that are actually putting them into office happy. Because it's business owners and it's the people in construction and restaurants, that and the other, that are actually monopolizing and benefiting off of illegal immigrants working for a fraction of the price because they don't have the same rights as U.S. citizens. So before you sit there and put an immigrant or an undocumented...
Finally, someone breaking down actual economics. Undocumented workers didn't cause inflation, didn't raise your rent, didn't jack up grocery prices. That was corporate profits, supply chains, and policy choices. In the job-stealing myth, watch what happens when workers leave. Americans don't rush to fill those jobs because they don't want to pick crops for 12 hours in heat, don't want to roof houses for minimum wage, and businesses don't want to pay Americans either because Americans demand actual wages, benefits, overtime, safety standards. Undocumented workers can't demand anything. That's why they're hired. It's cost-cutting, not charity. The politicians screaming loudest about illegal immigration, they block every legal pathway because they need that underclass to keep labor costs down. It's a system designed exactly this way. Follow the money. It tells you the truth.
This story out of Florida is way more than disturbing. State officials have been accused of quietly deleting public data that shows that U.S. citizens were swept up in immigration arrests, right after reporters started asking questions. Florida, under Governor Ron DeSantis, launched a public dashboard to track the arrests of suspected undocumented immigrants. Early this month, it showed 21 U.S. citizens had been arrested since August 1st, and another 9 had been stopped or questioned but not detained. Then, almost overnight, those numbers vanished. When journalists from the Miami New Times began pressing for answers, asking why citizens were caught in immigration sweeps, the dashboard suddenly changed. The count dropped from 30 to just 2. The rest were erased. No one from DeSantis' office, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, or the state's immigration board would explain the shift. Advocates say it's more than an error, it's a cover-up. If U.S. citizens can be arrested under these operations, that's alarming enough, said Tessa Petit of the Florida Immigrant Coalition. But deleting the evidence from public view, that's even worse. Isn't the Trump administration supposed to be the most transparent administration in U.S. history? Every sheriff's office in Florida, all 67 of them, now partners with ICE through the 287G program, giving local police federal immigration powers. Civil rights groups have long warned that it encourages racial profiling and wrongful arrests. But luckily for us, we haven't seen any of that, right? Right? As of this week, the dashboard still claims that more than 2,400 arrests have been made since August. But if the government can just scrub the records, we're all in trouble.
Pay attention. This is terrifying. Florida built a dashboard tracking immigration arrests. It showed 30 U.S. citizens got swept up. Journalists asked questions. Overnight, 30 became 2, 28 people erased. No explanation, just deleted. The government arrests citizens by mistake, then erases the evidence. That's not incompetence. That's deliberate. If they can scrub wrongful arrest data, what else are they hiding? How many people are detained right now who shouldn't be? This is what unchecked power looks like. Local police with federal authority and no oversight. Racial profiling. Wrongful arrests. And when caught, delete. For everyone who thought this only targets bad people, there's no filter. It gets used on everyone. Citizens. People who look suspicious. You. When they can erase the evidence, there's no accountability. That's not safety. That's authoritarianism with a delete button.
So Florida's had this issue with insurance companies leaving the state due to hurricanes, right? Hurricanes being natural disasters, right? We can't, as residents of Florida, as human beings, we don't really have control of when a hurricane is going to hit the state.
Canada and the Canadian people, your boycott on tourism in the United States, explained right now. Canada and the Canadian people, let's do some hard numbers. Last year, 2024, you brought in $20 billion in money to the United States with your tourism, okay? And purchasings of stuff around the tourist industry. That's a lot. Whether you're talking about going into different national parks, you're talking about going to Disney World, anything. $20 billion last year, okay? What does that look like in the practicality? That was 140,000 jobs that were created to support you guys coming into the continental United States. What does that look like as far as we had 20 million Canadians coming into the United States. Now, I've been posting about Canada and the outcome of the boycott, and I've had hundreds of people commenting about how they're traveling to other countries to spite the boycott and make sure they didn't spend their money in the United States. Canada, please comment,
I have to respond to this comment because Beth, you had me triggered for a second, but I gotta remember who I am and where I'm at. Beth says the ballroom is being built with donations from corporations, not taxpayers. The shutdown is being caused by Chuck Schumer. Trump has said he was given tariff money to go towards the WIC program. Beth, come on, Beth. So the ballroom is being built with donations from corporations, not taxpayers, and you don't think that money should go to the federal workers? What is wrong with you, Beth? What is wrong with you? You fucking think it needs to go to a ballroom? And not federal workers who don't have any money? Not federal workers who are not getting paid? I'm sorry, I don't know about you, but half of fucking America lives paycheck to paycheck. Don't piss me off, Beth.
We're headed down to Florida. We thought Operation Nightingale was over. You know, the scheme that had fraudulent schools just handing out nursing diplomas, letting people sit for the boards as long as you paid 22 grand. 12 more have just been charged. Yes. A few more fake nursing schools have been found out. Some of these people were already arrested. Some of them pleaded out and said, yes, I'm guilty and I want to be sentenced. But these schools pumped out more than 7,000 fake nurses. Let's take a deeper look into it.
7,000 fake nurses. Read that again. 7,000 people paid $22,000 for diplomas they didn't earn. They're in hospitals right now, taking care of patients. They didn't go to school, didn't pass boards, didn't learn pharmacology. They bought paper, and now they're administering medication, monitoring vitals, making life or death decisions. This wasn't dark web fraud. These were licensed schools operating openly in Florida, with supposed oversight. Where was the Department of Education, licensing boards, hospital credential checks? This is systemic failure. Now hospitals nationwide have to audit their staff. Patients have to wonder if their nurse actually knows what they're doing. This is what gutted regulation looks like. When you cut oversight agencies, when you call verification government overreach. Small government sounds great until you're in a hospital bed and your nurse skipped school. Deregulation has a price, and patients pay it.
Today on Nurses in the News, headline reads, federal authorities charge 12 more in Florida nursing diploma fraud. The arrests were part of a second phase of an investigation. In 2023, 25 people were charged in connection with a similar scheme involving 3 other Florida schools. Federal prosecutors in South Florida have charged 12 additional people in a scheme to sell fake nursing diplomas and transcripts to individuals seeking RN and LPN licensure. Investigators say for-profit schools issued fraudulent credentials so buyers could take the NCLEX exam and in some cases secure nursing jobs across the country.
So they say if you want to judge a person's character, give them power. Let's look at what we have going on right now. As of today, October 24th, 2025, the Republicans, GOP, MAGA, they control everything in D.C. right now. From the White House to the outhouse. It's all controlled by the Republicans. Hey, how's it going? Now, here's the reality. When everything starts falling apart as it's doing right now, they want to flip the blame onto the Democrats. No. You don't get to control everything and then put the blame on someone else when things go wrong. You guys wanted all this power, you have all this power, and now you're abusing all the power that you have. So y'all know what to do. There's an election coming up November 4th, and we have the midterm elections November 2026. Let's get it done. Complaining on social media is not going to do it. We know what we have to do. Let's get it done.
Welcome to a special edition of Legal AF. While we're watching the demolition of the White House, while we're watching the scandal erupt around the ballroom building, that's not the only construction project that Donald Trump's trying to take advantage of and for which there's a whiff of scandal. There's another one going on in Miami and Miami-Dade County involving Governor DeSantis and a valuable piece of property in Miami owned by Miami-Dade College, the largest public university in America, where that piece of property, it looks like it's worth somewhere upwards of $400 million, but is being ordered to be turned over to the state to be given for free to Donald Trump for something, a components of a presidential library, parking lot, visitor center, who knows what it is. And the worst part of it, the public doesn't know anything about it because it wasn't given proper notice before the trustees of Miami-Dade College got together in I don't want to call it a smoke-filled room, but it certainly wasn't a transparent room one morning without YouTube and voted or were ordered to vote to transfer it for free to the state, a piece of property they bought 20 years ago for about $24 million. This is not a wealthy university, despite the fact that it's one of the largest universities in America. They could use the spare $400 million for something. Fortunately, there are lawyers, as we've said, the first line of defense, lawyers going into courtrooms to challenge things that are wrong. And I was fortunate enough in covering the story about the Trump library in Miami to actually know the lawyers that were involved in this case. And when I saw that Andres Rivera was the lawyer that had actually filed a temporary restraining order and obtained a temporary restraining order, I said, oh, I got to try to get Andres, who's so amazing and his firm's so great that I, Michael Popak, even referred cases to them. In terms of full disclosure, we like to bring the newsmakers, we like to bring the people that are in the trenches onto the show to brief our audience. And I'm so pleased and honored to have Andres Rivero join us. Hi, Andres.
Hey, Michael. Thank you so much for that great introduction. And it's great to see you.
You as well. All right. I did a hot take about sort of the basics, but let me just do one line of framing, then I'm going to turn it all over to you about what's going on in the courtroom. Because this matters to our audience. This is yet another scandal, not the Arc de Trump, not the ballroom, but the presidential library where it looks like he's taking $400 million from a university whose faculty and students could probably use it. I'll let you comment a little bit more on that. And is facing public opposition where it looks like 70 to 80% of Miami-Dade County, which is very heavy Republican in certain parts, is opposed to Miami-Dade College. A lot of them are alumna opposed to this. So, I passed that parcel. You've passed that parcel. We've tried to park at it.
Good morning. This is a warning to anyone considering traveling to or living in Florida. And this is in addition to the travel advisory the NAACP put out, that Equality Florida put out to queer travelers, and that Florida Advisory put out to immigrants and foreign tourists. Leprosy is on the rise in Florida, with Florida accounting for 20% of new leprosy cases. Now, the good news is 95% of people have a natural immunity to leprosy, and it is incredibly rare. Now, what's troubling about leprosy being so rare previously and now seemingly being on the rise is that they don't exactly know how you get it. We do know that leprosy is contagious and is transmitted by untreated people infected with the disease. I'm also pretty sure you can get it from eating or being around armadillos. Are there a lot of armadillos in Florida? Now, scientists are saying don't freak out too badly because it's not spread through casual contact or sexual transmission or from mother to fetus, but rather that you kind of breathe it in, and if you're not immune to it, you get it. Leprosy is a curable disease. You take an antibiotic for sometimes 1 to 2 years, but it slows the bacteria growth.
Now, today in a new song teaser, country music star Zach Bryan came out against ICE, and MAGA is freaking out, calling for Zach Bryan to be canceled. Well, here's some of those lyrics from that song teaser. The title of the song, Bad News. Well, ICE is going to come bust down your door, try to build a house, no bills, no more. Kids are all scared and all alone, the fading of the red, white, and blue. This has caused many MAGA fans online to truly freak out. This one says, no name country artist Zach Bryan slams ICE for deporting people. He has no talent. Another said Zach Bryan just Bud Lighted himself. And another conservative influencer said, there goes your career. Look, MAGA temper tantrum aside, this is really important. It's important that artists and celebrities come out against ICE and the atrocities that they are committing on people in this country, especially in a music category like country. Look, good on Zach Bryan. You can find the audio here on this app or otherwise. Looking forward to listening to the full song, but we need more of this. So thank you, Zach Bryan, for standing up. MAGA cancel culture rolls on.
Zach Bryan criticized ICE, and the free speech crowd is demanding he be canceled. The irony is stunning. Cancel him. Boycott. Career over. You screamed about cancel culture for years, about artistic freedom, about being too sensitive. Now an artist says something you don't like, and suddenly it's he's done. Can't have it both ways. Either we support free expression or we don't. But here's what matters. This took courage. Country music is conservative. His fan base skews right. He knew this would cost him. He said it anyway. Because immigration raids aren't abstract. They're families torn apart. Kids left alone. People arrested without warrants. Someone needed to speak up. He did. That's integrity. Using your platform for what you believe, even when it hurts. Go ahead. Burn his albums. Boycott him. Do what you need. But understand, you're proving his point. You're showing why people are afraid to speak. That's the real cancel culture.
Hi, Congress. Hi, Congress. Pay attention. Here's what I would like you to do. You don't have a job right now. I mean, you're getting paid, right? I tell you what, why don't you go back to your district? Those people they elected you to represent their needs and desires in Congress. Go back to that district and just, walk around, get on the ground. Not a big even. I'm not asking you to even talk to people in a big giant forum. Just walk around. You don't have anything else to do right now and you're getting paid, right? So go walk around your district. And what I want you to do is I want you to, knock on the door of someone that is losing food stamps or someone that is losing health care. I want you to talk to them. And I want you to sit them down and explain to them why they're losing their health care. And I want you to tell them it's okay if they die. I want you to look in their face and tell them it's okay if your children are hungry at school, because that's your problem. It's your problem.
You know how hospitals have a backup generator for when the power goes out so that all the patients don't unalive? Yeah, so the U.S. government has a backup generator for government shutdowns when it comes to subsidized food. We have the option to feed people during this shutdown, but we are choosing not to under this administration. There's about $6 billion allotted for this type of situation. And before you go and blame the Democrats, keep in mind, the Democrats are trying to make sure your $200 per week health insurance for a family of 5 doesn't go up to $700 a week. Okay? Of the most recent government shutdowns, Trump is responsible for 27% of them. So, we have a backup generator. We have money to feed people. This is systemic starvation. Because to control a population, you must make them hungry. It's honestly common sense, but unfortunately maggots are so deeply fucking disillusioned with not a shred of critical thinking in their body. And I feel like a broken record because I say this shit every single day. But we have a backup generator. They're doing this to you on purpose.
$6 billion. Sitting there for emergency food assistance during shutdowns. We have the money, we have the system, we have the backup, and we're choosing not to use it. Kids going hungry, families skipping meals, elderly rationing medication to buy food, not because we can't, because we won't. Don't blame both sides. One party's trying to prevent this, the other's using hunger as leverage. This isn't incompetence, it's strategy. Control food, control people. When they're desperate feeding kids, they don't fight back, they survive. And the cruelest part? The people suffering most voted for this. Red state voters on SNAP, WIC, Medicaid. They cut their own lifeline because someone said immigrants were stealing it. Now they're hungry. Kids hungry. Parents losing health care. The politicians? Fine. Getting paychecks. Eating well. We have the money. This isn't a resource problem. It's a choice. Deliberate to let people suffer. That's not policy. That's cruelty.